So, we have a question. What specific training are officers getting to interact with a community they're not from?
So that's a good question. So the question was, what trainings do officers get to interact with communities that they're not from? So one of the things we do is when we hire, right, and so we can't be as picky as we once might have been. We hire people, and in the interview process, we talk about working in a community with people of different colors and different religions and things like that. And we have questions that kind of will gauge how you would interact with communities like this. And then once you become a police, once you get in the training academy, if you've seen our recruits, like the academy's on Newfield Avenue. Yeah. They run up and down the street around here. We take them to different community events. So we try and expose them to different communities, particularly in the city of Bridgeport, different areas of our community, because we're such a diverse community. We really try to expose them as much as we possibly can. And then there's some trainings that we do in the class. We bring in different community members to talk about diversity and things of that nature. So ultimately what we try to do is we try to hire good quality people. And if you hire good quality people, they should be able to adapt to hopefully any community or any people that they get.
Next question. Community policing. Are we going to have more police officers interacting with our young people, and specifically summer interacting?
So, because we've been so short, it's been hard, but we've taken great efforts to try and interact with young people. So I just talked about community policing, where we're going to have officers walking. But community policing is more than just people walking and interacting. It's a mindset that our officers have where they know we work for you, and we should engage with individuals. One of my officers said to me not long ago, he said, "Chief, everywhere we go, people know you, but they don't know us." I said, "Well, that's your problem. You need to get out and know people." So a couple of things we're doing with young people. So we're involved with the schools. We've been involved with schools for many, many years, where our officers go in and we have roundtable sessions. We talk with kids, kind of just like this. We're trying to get funding again and do our midnight basketball again, our boxing programs, things like that. So we're doing those again.
Our next question is, how can we address the noise complaint? ATV, loud music, barbershop, people?
Yeah. So part of that too is, so part of that, right, is like we all got to be responsible neighbors, right, and kind of like police that ourselves, right? Tell people if you could turn it down. But we do try to respond to those. She didn't mention, Anita, one of the ordinances they're trying to come up with is an ordinance to deal with noise, and also we're trying to increase the ordinance to deal with ATVs that will give us more leverage where we can take them from kids and not have to return them, things like that. We don't chase, so we won't have cops pursuing them. We try to come up with other ways to get those off the street. We work with other communities as well as our state and federal partners, trying to track them when they do those mass rides and things like that. Knock on something, but the last couple of years we've been not too bad with those, but it continues to be an issue.
Okay, this is a piggyback onto that.
Okay.
What is the Bridgeport police policy for nuisance motorbikes riding on your street, causing much noise and unsafe conditions? And also, is there a number to call about that?
You just call our regular non-emergency number, our CAD center, 576-7823. But we have an ordinance, right? Those things are not legal. They're not supposed to be on the street. So they're just not licensed. They don't have license plates. They don't have a motorcycle license. So they shouldn't be on the street. So there's really no legal reason for them to be on the streets. Oftentimes parents will say, well, these kids need something to do and they need an outlet. But that's not one that we want to have for them riding on the street in the city of Bridgeport. Yeah, take a look.
I'm sorry, is there a park? Is there a park where they're...
Not in Bridgeport.
Not in Bridgeport. Fairfield? I know some of those places have parks where they can ride their bikes.
Yeah, someone told me there was some...
It's like something...
Yeah, and I know people say, well, we don't have a place in Bridgeport. Maybe, I think there might be one in Trumbull. But we don't have a park that you can't, in Bridgeport, you can't ride motorcycles in the parks. That's what...
One in Milford?
Milford. Okay, there's one in Milford. Okay.
There could be some type of connection there, like with the kids that you get the bikes from. You say, hey, we can go to this train, we can go to this park, and you can ride it, right? We go to Milford. It could be, it'll be a good connection.
In theory, that's a good thing, right? But these kids don't. They want to ride on the street. They want to ride on the street. So in theory, that would be great. But they can't show off in front of their friends and things like that. So.
Okay, our next question is, why is it when something happens, the school camera or the street camera are never working?
That's not true. Our camera systems work pretty well. And So our solvability rate in violent crimes is really, really high. Our detective bureau solve a lot of crimes. And one of the number one tools that they use to solve crimes is our fusion center and our camera system. So our cameras work pretty well. There are times when they might be out, but for the most part, and we fix them quickly. If we know they're out, we'll try to repair them because that's a valuable tool. But from my experience, our camera system help us out quite a bit. One of the things that our camera system does is kind of in line with our shot spotter. So where shot spotter goes off, there's usually a camera there. So when the shot spotter goes off, that camera will zoom in on that area where that shot spotter is, and the people who we have who watch the cameras will focus in on that area. And our cameras are so good, we're able to get license plates, and we're able to do a lot of good stuff. So they generally work well. She good? I don't want to get Karen out of upset.
Do you want, can you write it down? Is that pertains to this? Oh, okay.
Oh, you want to continue?
Yes, that was my answer. The reason I said that, I attended a function at Bassett High School.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Board of Education members there, and the councilwoman on that side was there. And I'm still hurt by it. And a friend of mine, she got into a fight, got her nose broken. Me being a good Samaritan, trying to break up the fight, I got jumped by 15 people. The councilwoman, she called the school police.
We don't have school police in Bridgeport. We just have Bridgeport police.
No, she didn't call the Bridgeport police. The school police were there.
Well, we don't have school police.
Security.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
that's, you know.
Oh, okay.
She called security, and we went by ambulance.
Okay.
All I wanted from the Board of Education was apology, and they need to show more respect.
Okay.
When I went to pick up the report, it stated that on the report that we started the fight. I have never seen a report in my life. I don't believe in hatred. I believe in love. I believe in doing the right thing, and I'm still upset about it.
Okay.
Because that should have never happened. I'm laying there, 15 people on me. It's not right. Sharon got her nose broken. When I went to the Board of Education, it's like they didn't want to hear it. Went to City Hall to speak to the head of the council, and she wouldn't even meet up with me. She sent somebody else. I just felt it was very disrespectful, and it made me feel where I don't ever want to vote again. It has nothing to do with you, but it was wrong.
I'm sorry you went through that experience.
Yes.
So we work with the Board of Ed, but the Board of Ed is a separate entity, and so their live meetings inside, you can't film inside some of those meetings unless you video. So there might have been camera. I'm not sure.
With respect, can you keep it short because we have a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah. The detective told me that it wasn't on camera, and it was parents in there that didn't record, and the security told them if they didn't delete it out their phone, that they were gonna go to jail. And they let all suspects go. They sure did, and that's shameful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Steve. What specific measures are being implemented to build trust and improve community relations within the district?
I think this right here, right? We're going out to meet people. We're engaging with people. One of the things we did, like our social media sites where we're sharing information, and we've become much more transparent. So if you go to our website, we share our policies, we share our procedures. Contractually, we try and share as much information as we can so you know what's going on. And then, information sessions like this where we come out, we meet, we know people to try and build that level of trust. We encourage all our officers to get out and talk and interact with people. Some of them we still got to work. They're not comfortable with everybody, and we got to make sure we work to get that going. And I think when we put the neighborhood police officers out, that'll help build it more. But ultimately, it's about establishing relationships. It took me a while to get to know a lot of people. So hopefully we'll continue to do that. And that's how we build trust and develop relationships.
Chief, one thing. We also run a Citizen
Oh,
Academy.
geez, I forgot.
And all of you are welcome to come to that, and that gives you a bird's eye view of what we do on a day-to-day basis. That's open to the public.
Yeah.
Where is that? Like, what-
Yeah,
what's
so-
the information?
Yeah, you want me to?
Yeah.
So last year in 2024, we did 2 sessions, so 10-week sessions, one night a week, where you come to our police academy or at our emergency operations center, and it's a 10-week program. It usually starts like 6 o'clock, and they go to like 8 or 9. And there's different classes you take. You learn about different police procedures. You get to do a ride along. You go to the CAD center. Did they take them to that simulator? Where do you?
Yeah, they go them to the simulator.
Yeah, there's a
Learn how to-
simulator where you learn to shoot,
learn
don't
how to
shoot.
if you want.
Yeah, so we do it every, so we'll probably do another one. We don't like to run it in the summer because it's too busy, so we'll probably have one in the fall. So yeah, that's another good way to learn. And you really learn the laws, when you talk, and you really learn how we do things, why we do things. That's really informative, and I really encourage anybody.
We still need the address.
I'm sorry?
We still
I'll
need-
get the information for you.
Okay.
We can post it on our site, I'll get it, Debbie or Karen. Is there age limit?
No age limit.
It's mainly Bridgeport residents, but sometimes we'll take outsiders, but.
Right. Some outsiders like to join in and see what's going
Yeah.
on in Bridgeport, but it's open to Bridgeport residents.
Yeah, you gotta be at least 18, right?
18 and
Yeah, well, you know, like sometimes we have to make accommodations for kids because
Yeah.
they couldn't come without the kid. And we allow
Yeah.
the children to come, but we actually would like this adults because
Yeah.
some of it is sensitive and
Yeah.
more geared towards adults. All of you are welcome. I look forward to seeing you all in the fall.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
I'll be signing up.
Chief, I can vouch that you're the most transparent police department.
Say that again louder, Steve, because
You
people.
are the, you are the most transparent police department in the area that we serve, from Seymour to Norwalk.
You know, and so, like.
Through Stanford to Greenwich.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so, and I don't want to blow our own, and so Steve did it. But so sometimes I'll go places and people will like, and I'm not looking for. I'm by nature an introverted person, but this job made me have to become extroverted. But people know us because we do this. I was at last Friday night. I went to see Gerald Albright at Southern Connecticut at the Lyman Center, and my wife goes, "That people were looking at you." And the people was like, "Hey," and they knew. They're like, "Yeah, I'm the chief in Bridgeport," because we are out there. We're visible. You know, if you ask anybody, you know, throughout the state, if you say who's the chief or the, and I think if you took a poll, who's the chief and who's the mayor from Bridgeport, they will know us. But if you say who's the chief or the mayor and say Hartford, you're like, wait a minute. So so we do try to do that things.
Our next question is, what strategy plan are you putting? What strategy plan are you putting in place to be more proactive than reactive on the east end of Bridgeport? And will that plan, if any, include the community?
Yeah, so so we're gonna have the neighborhood policing officers. So this is technology that we just introduced, and actually the representatives coming to our staff meeting tomorrow. And what we do is we create these zones, right? And we put officers in these zones, and this technology tracks them and how long they stay in the zones. So the study shows that if we put a certain zone, which could be like say a 4, 5, 6 block radius, if we put officers in a certain zone and we require them to spend at least 15 to 20 minutes each shift 3 times in that zone, it will reduce crime. So that's one of the proactive measures that we're taking to address crime. In addition to some things I can't say that we're doing. So those are some of the things.
Okay, let me say this.
Go ahead.
When you was talking about putting the police officer back on, a few years back, I used to be in East End, in the council up there. I used to be in there by myself, except for that day I went in there, like scared to add it there. But, I don't know if you all remember some, I know you do, Love and all of
Yeah,
them.
also Ned
that
Love.
walk,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I was, those kids knew them and they knew all the kids. And one day, somebody asked me, says, aren't you afraid to be up here by yourself? No, I'm all Jesus with me. And Love said, oh, don't y'all know she's protected on both sides? And I'm like, what you mean I'm protected on both? He said, you're protected by the police and the drug dealer.
Yeah, I remember.
Because they want to come and ask, could you? Yeah. Just go to the bank, yeah, you can use it. If you, my mom always said, if you good to the people, you good back to them.
Okay, next one. In Bridgeport, and specifically the Bridgeport Police Department, we have seen lots of corruption. For example, former police chief. Can you say before the presence of everyone here today that you have acted with absolute integrity, honest, and faithfulness, and your duty to the city?
Yeah, I guess I have, and I'll continue to do that. Yeah. So I believe in professional, fair policing, like this young lady here said, right? My mother told me the same thing. You treat people fairly, you treat them honestly and respectfully, and you get it back. And that's what I try and instill in our police officers, right? So do we have every police officer? I mean, I have to discipline cops. So sometimes they do things that they shouldn't do, right? So, but what we try to do, right, to help to ensure our credibility, if our officers do something, we'll do an investigation. If they found guilty, they will be disciplined, up to and being fired. So, and we need that because that helps maintain our credibility in the community. If I let officers get away with doing stuff, you'll be like, hey, they don't. But no, we believe in holding people accountable. Officers get mad at me sometimes. If you've been reading the paper, you see what they did to me a couple of weeks ago. They were mad. Why do you think they do that? Sometimes they don't want to be held accountable. But I gotta hold them accountable, so they can get mad. And I love my officers. I'm there for them. But sometimes you gotta hold them accountable for their actions. So.
Thank you for that. Next question is, why have the East End become a dumping ground for cars, boats, furniture, etc.? Camera can be installed at these areas that are consistently used as a dumping ground.
Yeah, so the last couple of years in Bridgeport, right, the East End, the East Side, bore the brunt of it. With people, some of these people I don't even think were from Bridgeport, dumping boats and cars, which is like despicable. Yeah, so the mayor created like a task force, right, a group of people, and it's Public Works, the police department, our blight. So we try to get these things off the street. So one of the things that the police department did, we have officers now dedicated to the abandoned cars because I like to get them before the summer comes because you'll see them more once the summer comes. And we really try and tag them and get them off the streets. Those boats, it's hard to get rid of them. So when people dump those and they put garbage in them, it's hard to get them removed because the tow company is like, I don't want to tow this on boat. So it becomes difficult, but the city's aware of it and we have, worked with the health department, the public facilities, to try and the blight to try and get these things removed. And sadly, they come to the East End, the East Side, areas where they figure they can get away with doing it. So, but one thing we have done, areas where we know, I probably shouldn't say some of this stuff, but areas where we know they are, we try to put cameras up against people.
Thank you. All right, so you basically answered part of this question. I'm gonna read the whole thing. What if any community policing initiatives are currently in place in Bridgeport that specifically require police officers to walk the streets and actively engage with the residents, small business owners, and youth, etc.? How many, if any, hours are officers required to weekly engage with community police?
So we don't put like a specific number because of our manpower issues the last couple of years, officers are mainly responsible for responding to calls for service. But we do encourage them to get out of the cars and engage with people and things like that. But once May comes and we get the officers off of the FTO program, there's going to be dedicated officers. They're going to be there from 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock to 11 o'clock at night. So they'll be doing that 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
The next two are a little bit more sensitive to what's happening today with the community and the police department.
Okay.
What is your response to the community believe in the video of the recent police shooting where someone was altered?
So obviously I can't that's an investigation that's being investigated by the Inspector General's office. I would say I have confidence and respect in the process of the Inspector General's office that they will have and that they have provided quality evidence that was collected with integrity, and that everything that they did or continue to do is under those same standards. So the Inspector General's office was put in place by our state senators and our legislators. They put that in place to give impartiality to any officer-involved situations like we tragically had last week. And so Whenever that happens, it's not the local police who investigate it. It used to be the state's attorney from another district, but these investigators are not a part of the Bridgeport Police Department. They work for the Inspector General's office. The Inspector General is a retired judge, and they oversee all of those cases, and they will do the findings. And they do that everywhere in the state of Connecticut. They respond to do those. And yeah, I have confidence and respect their ability, and I think that they will act with integrity and evaluate all the evidence and come up with their conclusions.
Can you explain for the audience, when is an officer justified in the use of deadly force?
Yeah, so that one I don't want to really get into either because that current investigation is going on. So I really don't want to get into when that is justified or not. I will say, all that stuff is researchable, right? So if you want to find out what the policy is on use of force in the state of Connecticut, or even in the Bridgeport Police Department, you can go to our website and you can see it. If you want to see what the state policy is, we're all under the state is a state like this. We're all under the same. There's a state guidelines on use of force and the trainings. So you can go to those websites and you can find out Google now. You can Google the use of force policy in the state of Connecticut, and you can get it and you can read for yourself, and you can probably make that determination. But again, the people who make those decisions are our Inspector General is a retired judge.
Thank you for that. That concludes our questionnaire, but we're opening the floor for any questions.
Okay, there's a couple. Are the officers back there? I want Newton to come out. A couple of the new officers.
So we're just gonna open it up for a small amount of time in respect of other people's time. A couple of questions if you have them, and then we're gonna have closing remarks.
I'll let you.
I think you elaborated on it before about the officers and community coming together. All I was just saying, thinking about Bridgeport. I'm a native here. I was born and raised here. Think about compared to the other little counties, little cities like Fairfield, why is it we have such a hard time getting things done around here?
Wow.
I'm not even talking about arresting people. I'm just talking about development.
Yeah, if I can answer that question right, I'd be a billionaire, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in Stamford, right? Me and Jeray are from Stamford. So when I grew up in Stamford, Stamford didn't look like the way it did now.
Right.
But I would say probably late 70, around 80, or when the mall opened, Stamford just blew up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know why that took off and we didn't take off.
Yeah, but in Stamford, I can speak to it. I moved back to Stamford in 1998, and instead of providing the community programs and having opportunities like we have with this organization, they arrested the people and sent them to jail.
Wow.
Or, they set up a situation where they moved the whole family either to Waterbury or Bridgeport. So that's why Stamford is where it is now. Like when I moved back to Stamford in 1998, the black population was 17%. It's well under 10% now. So basically, they displaced the people that were causing problems instead of providing help.
And not only did they displace people who were causing problems, they priced a lot of us out too. So I'm an example of that. So good question. But I was.
To the next question.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, we can
yes.
finish and I'll. You guys get comfortable. Then we'll talk. Get comfortable. Hang out. Get comfortable. So don't go too far. Yeah.
I have a question on the car window break-ins, the breaking of the car windows.
Yeah.
Which is citywide.
Yeah, statewide.
Yeah. So, my car got hit twice.
Yeah.
And they just go in the street and they just tear everything up. What is being done about
So we put together some task forces the last couple of months because that was an epidemic throughout
Yeah.
Fairfield County. They were hitting Trumbull and Fairfield. So we put together some teams to address that. We in Bridgeport, we've made a lot of arrests the last couple of months, right? Where we've gotten some kids, and so we addressed that. And those are so quick, it's hard to catch them because it's a crime of opportunity. Pull up, smash, and grab, and take off. But we have addressed that. I would say, park your car in a well-lit area if you can, and but we have done some work on those.
All right, anybody else have a question?
What's the impact of DEI on your hiring practices of reaching your goal of 100 new policemen as well as your budget?
So that's a good question. So we're a very diverse police department. One of the good things about the Bridgeport Police Department is we've always been diverse, right? I barely left, but before I even came on, you guys know Teddy and all Teddy Meekins and all.
Yeah.
So the original Bridgeport Guardians, they put some things in place back then to to help diversify the police department. So we were always ahead of other departments. But we continue to do that because we did see a good number of people leave. So, I believe that diversity makes us a better police department, makes us a better community. So we continue to try and diversify them. What we've really done recently, we really hired a lot of women. We've pushed, and you're going to meet one of them in a minute. So we've really hired a lot of female officers. And the city of Bridgeport does some unique things, right? Where if you live in Bridgeport, you get extra points on your exams. So that helps get people who kind of understand Bridgeport. So we do that. In terms of how it impacted our budget, the mayor gave us the green light to hire 100 police officers. So he wasn't really concerned about, and we were short so many people anyway, but he's not concerned about how it's necessarily going to impact us. He wants to grow the department to a level where we're able to provide good, proactive police.
Well, thank you.
Years ago, right, I remember HD, as far as the police academy goes on Newfield, years ago, he used to have some of us from the community come in and be part of that training.
Yeah.
And moving forward, because the racial disparity was so many, white police officers that don't know the dynamics. So as far as the proactiveness of that and moving forward, is there any way that you can make some community folks
We still do that.
be part of that, and before they get sworn in, maybe have them do so many intern hours of mentorship?
Yeah, we still do that. We still bring in community folks to come in and talk to the recruits about Bridgeport and share their experiences. And like I mentioned earlier, would you grab I don't want to put her on the spot, but we take them to different parts of the community and have them experience dealing with the community. So we continue to do that. That's a part of our training where we bring in people from the community and talk about the community.
Okay, well, I'd like to continue.
Thank you.
All right, we have one
Next
next.
question.
Wait, can you speak up a little?
I have a question about your all's schedule. So when you guys change shifts, I hear a lot, like, just being in the community, do you have, like, higher crime rates during shift change?
That's a good question.
Because my assumption is that, the streets move like, all right, shift done changed, so this is what we gonna do.
That's a good question. Yeah, we do. And so,
Never change your schedule.
so we're looking to change our schedule.
Something as
Well,
far as like people in their lives.
So what we do now is we have staggered. We have some officers who start at 3, some start at 4, some start at 11 at night, some start at midnight, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So we do have an overlap, but during that time we are short. But we are looking to hopefully in our next contract negotiation, even hopefully before that, do some things that will eliminate that. But that's a good, very good question.
And you have another question?
Chief, you've spoken a lot about increasing the numbers of the department. There was a recent article in the Connecticut Post that cited a study that suggested that, the numbers we have are sufficient.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Are you confident you can, kind of combat that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, so that study said one thing, we're budgeted for a certain number, but, the Bridgeport population has actually grown from the time when we had 400 plus police officers, and our calls for service has increased from the time, even though the violence is not like it was back in the 90s, but it continues to grow. But for us to be able to do proactive policing, and one of the things I want to do is one of the things I think is one of the big needs we need in Bridgeport is more traffic enforcement, because people drive crazy in Bridgeport. So we're trying to really grow back our traffic division. So the numbers I want will allow us to do more proactive enforcement, have a larger traffic unit, a larger school resource officer unit, a larger narcotics and vice unit. So we can check these establishments. So that's my goal, to get our numbers back to where we can have a full allotment of those officers who can go out and proactively enforce traffic laws. I don't agree with that. Some things a lot of things I agree with the study, but not the one about less police officers.
We're gonna pause real quick. We'll come back to you. We just want him to introduce the officers.
Yeah, if you don't have to come up. So this is our newest officer. They wanted her to go first. I'm sorry, I'll need to put you out there. So this is Officer Newton, one of our newer officers. She's actually in the field training program. I'll put your name up for me. Scaldoni is actually her FTO, so he's actually training her. And this is Officer Stenitis. So they work in the community there. So, I'm so I don't embarrass you. But Officer Newton is one of our officers who was in the community. She was running up and down this area. One of our good officers. She does a great work. Her grandmother was the first
African American history teacher
in Stratford. So, yeah, thanks. All right, we can take a couple more questions.
All right, who's next? Oh, and then you.
Chief.
We have to let him have
my
it. That Jackie
concern
Robinson.
is, do you have any kind of task force or any ideas how you're going to reach these young people out here to turn their life around before you give them a felony? Once they get a felony, their whole life is over.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And this is what, we've been trying to work with over years. My partner, Cecil Young, we've been trying to get them, the police, to look, don't give him a felony just like that. Try to bring him in, okay, talk to him or whatnot, and try to get his life turned around before he gets too far gone. Because once he's gone, he's gone.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, and this is a very concern here in Bridgeport. We're losing these children left and right.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got to stop it somewhere.
No.
Okay.
That's a good question. So one of the things we do is we try to work with the kids in school so they don't get into certain things. But Project Longevity is actually designed to deal with people so they don't get into things, and so they don't necessarily have to get felonies. What we did many years ago when I was in charge of our school resource officers and work with school security is we really increased the number of referrals to the JRB. So we didn't give kids, we didn't make arrests. So it's always our goal, right? And you can ask any one of my officers here. Our goal is always to not make arrests if we cannot have to make an arrest. There's times when we have no choice but to make an arrest. But the goal is we want to be proactive in preventing crime, so people won't commit crimes. And it will be great. So the task force, though, to deal with young people should not just be the police department. It should be all of us. So we all get together with some task forces to deal with our young people to stop them from getting into the system. Oftentimes we come to different groups, and no disrespect to any question, but the focus is always on, well, what's the police department going to do with young people? Well, what are you going to do to stop them from doing things? Well, what are you going to do to provide things for young people to do in the summer? But we all should be coming up with ways to provide things for young people in the summer. So we want to be a part of it, but we shouldn't be the only ones doing that too. So.
No, it takes a village to raise a child.
That's
we
right.
all know that.
That's right.
Okay. But we need you guys' help too.
Yeah, we want to be a part of it, and we are part of it.
Thank you for the question. We have another question.
Okay, my concern, because of me, that I have a young man in jail now. He's 31, and it's because he was driving without his license while he violated his probation. When I joined the military back in 1987, one of the things I saw when I was stationed in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, what some of the states were doing when young men or young women got into any kind of situation, what they would do is discipline them by sending them in the military, whether it was a reserve or full-time for 4 years. Why can't we try to do that instead of locking them up in the system and, as he said, created a felony, And I feel that if we, as a community, try to help these young men, because it's so hard for them to get jobs.
That's right.
It's so even before they are felony, the minute they are honest on their application to state that they have been arrested, they're discarded. They'll tell them, they'll call them back, but they don't get that opportunity to get that opportunity to build their life. My son was only helping because his friend was drunk. But he kind of stepped on the gas a little bit and he got rearrested. And, he's serving like anywhere from 6 months to a year, 364 days. And the day he got arrested, I said to the judge, he was supposed to start welding school at Bridgeport University. And it's emotional to me because that's an opportunity that he could have had and be a better person. And he also was starting a new job, and she said, I don't care. I don't care. And it's like, I said, baby, you should have not just parked the car and both of you sleep it out. He wasn't drunk, he wasn't intoxicated, but he felt like he didn't want to be
far from home.
Mhm.
So either, and then they lock him up again because he violated his probation.
Yeah.
So
So-
situation like this, damn if you do, damn if you don't, whether you do a good deed or not, it's still a crime.
Yeah. So, one of the things that the city of Bridgeport does, we have this Myra program where they try to help people who are coming out of being incarcerated. That's what Project Longevity does, to offer job training and things like that. Our state senators are the ones who have to deal with certain things like that in terms of programs to help people. We do them here with our Myra and Project Longevity. But on a broader scale, the courts, that's something that they should look into. But we do have Myra in Bridgeport. We try to help people. And so I know Nick used to be probation. And one of the things probation does is when people are on probation, they try to offer programs and different things to help them to not get into trouble again. Yeah, so there are some things, but I know there's times when,
Did you have a question?
So with Project Longevity, we work directly with probation and parole. So I would say 90% of our clients come directly from probation and parole. So if you said your son was already on probation,
And then you go without a license.
right? So he might have been one of ours.
What's your name?
Imani Plummer with Project Longevity. I don't know.
Where you located?
In Bridgeport.
Where?
On Sylvan Avenue.
Oh.
At the Bridgeport Community Services Division, the hub on the corner. That's where our offices are located.
Okay.
But yeah, we work directly with probation and parole, and we hear from them, and we also hear from the client, and we try to assess their needs and give them the resources that they need. Okay.
So before you leave,
I have cards. I don't have many on me, but I have some cards if you need it. Nick, do you have any on you? You have some.
so she has, and I see you all the time. I see you places. Right? Yeah. No, not in this.
We have one.
Yeah.
Yes, my question? Okay. So my question is, what specific additional training is it that officers are taking because the base of mental health looks different?
That's a good
And so
question.
mental health may look like something to people that from a different generation, whereas mental health currently may look like a person that's really just very manic, and they are just like kind of manic people tend to talk about, they talk really fast, and they are pointing out different things that really make no sense, but like you engage with them, but what you don't understand is that they are actually manic and in a state of mental health issue or crisis. Whereas there have been kids that have been injured, not necessarily in Bridgeport, but in other locations, because of the fact that they're in this manic phase, but officers don't understand that this is what mental health looks like at this point.
That's a great question. So that's a great question. So, but in the Bridgeport, what we've done, we've been proactive in those areas, right? So we've trained over 60 of our police officers to be critical, what's the CIT stand for? Say it again? Critical incident training, where they are trained specifically to look for signs of people who are in crisis or who have mental health issues. We also have social workers who work in our department who respond to calls that might be involving someone who has a mental health issue. One of these we're doing, everyone knows like this month is Autism Awareness Month.
Yeah. Yes.
So what we do, if you look at we have 30 of them. We have magnets on our cars recognizing that April is Autism Awareness Month. So our officers have special trainings to look for signs of people who have autism. One of the things that I did for the month of April, is at our roll calls, every day at our roll calls, our sergeants will go over some of the steps on what to look for young people or adults who have autism. So our officers look for those signs of individuals who have autism. So we've been very, very proactive to try to understand mental health issues, not only in our trainings, but hiring social workers who go to calls and giving our officers special training, CIT training, to respond and understand individuals who might be involved in some type of mental health crisis. So we've really done a lot in that area. And I see.
We're gonna take 2 more questions. Chief wants to help.
I just want to clarify. Forgive me. It's crisis intervention for those critical incidents. And if I may add, some of the trainers also have children that are either autistic, right? So it's not that we're just getting textbook, we're getting actual scenarios and actual things, experience from those that can teach us.
Yes. One of our officers who taught autism awareness, he had his son tragically passed away, but he taught the signs, and that's why I first saw it. He was given a class once, and it just blew me away that you know, I have 2 nephews who have autism, and like some of the signs, like I know now because of the trainings and I know them, but you would never know. So we've been proactive in trying to learn as best we can the signs that will indicate someone, so we know how to properly give them the services that they really require. So we've done a lot in that area.
Let me just say one thing.
Go ahead, Frank.
We also offer every year our police officers have to take courses in hate and bias and cultural awareness. Yet my door has been open on cultural awareness, which I teach. I've invited people from all over the community, and we have a Muslim community too that come in. You are always welcome to come to that and bring whatever training that you would think would help us. That door has always been open. We've been doing this for over 10, 15 years. So the public don't really know like what goes on inside the academy, but in there is very stringent training on hate and bias, implicit bias, and cultural awareness. And we invite all of you to come. Those doors are open.
Yeah, and so, and I haven't forgot you. And so, like, Detective Papaluch is one of our, he trains and teaches that. And one of the things we've done in Bridgeport, if you've noticed, like, Bridgeport has a huge Muslim population.
Yeah.
The Islamic Center on Park and State, they are very proactive in making sure that we know who they are and what they're about. They invite me there all the time. I'm at the Ramadan celebrations. They are very proactive. They come in and make sure that they that we get to know who they are. So I'll go ahead.
Okay. So I'm really glad that a lot of what we've been talking right now is being proactive. But first, you know, I'm the city librarian. We have 6 locations
what's your,
in Bridgeport.
What's your name?
Elaine. I'm Elaine.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
You know me. I'm the city librarian, and we have 6 locations.
We go to the staff meeting, the
Yes.
department.
Yes, we do.
It's
When
a long.
She says book them, it's a different term.
I'm sorry.
And I want to thank you because, you know, the library is a welcoming place, and we open our doors to everyone. And for some people, this is the last place that they're really allowed to be in because of their behavior. And, you know, my staff, we deal with this on a daily basis. We have a procedure. We write incident reports. And I want to thank you and your staff, all of your officers, because you respond to any time we have an incident, and it really does make a difference. But for me, I like to be proactive, and I like to see improvement more. And I wonder if, in terms of being proactive and preventative, when people see an officer or they see the patrol car, someone who's going to cause some trouble will think twice about staying around and getting in trouble. And one of the things I've been talking to my staff about is trying to have some kind of way, if we can invite your officers when they're walking a beat, or when they have, or on their route, to come to the libraries, to come in, take a walk in. We will leave you coffee. We'll feed you. Very nice to you. Rather than me always calling.
I know.
And I thank you too, because you have responded.
Yeah, I
when
know.
called you.
Yeah.
But rather so that in addition to us calling you and we need help right away, but if your officers feel welcome to come in, say hello, I think that would also help the libraries in sending that message that, you know.
Okay, and so he hears you. They're listening over there. We'll make sure we share that message. And I know when we opened the Upper East Side one there, yeah, the Beardsley one. So no, that's very important. And then one thing one of the things we did was we did these library series of. It wasn't me. I made my captains but encouraged them to do these library. We had the library community sessions, and we did a whole series of all of the libraries. So. Yeah, that's important. And
come in, we'll feed you.
Okay.
The last question, we have one more question.
Be real quick.
Sure.
Been here long enough in this community, the landlord and so forth, etc. I know for a fact, and your stacks are going to prove it. When those police officers start walking these streets again, everything is going to go down again. It works. As an older person here in this room, I know when you got policemen visible and on the same level as the offenders, it works like magic.
Oh, I agree 100%. And not only does it also gives everyone the feeling that it's safe. Because contrary to what anyone says, most times when you see cops, you're like, all right, I feel a little better. I know I do. Like, I see if I'm somewhere and I see them, I feel a little better. So we're committed to that. I wish I could do more. If we grow the department more, like right now I'm going to dedicate 2. I'd dedicate even more. To do it if I could, because I think that is so important that they see that police presence, a friendly police presence that engages with them. developing those relationships. That's
It
really
took us
important.
40 years to get this grocery store back over here.
Yeah.
This library was built by one of our MBA members.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring it back to what it once was when I was young, when I was a boy. There was so much going on over here, it's not even,
No, I
people
know.
can't even imagine that we're not here. I see some old faces here, swords over, you know, but we know what it was.
Yeah.
We know what it was to walk down Central Avenue, go to Treasure Beach, go to the amusement park, it was right there at Treasure Beach, go to the Pleasure Beach ballroom, but that the whole 9 yards. You know, a lot of us that have memories that go way back, past all this foolishness.
Yeah, no, and hopefully with Debbie and Karen and the NRZ over here, there'll be even more happening over there.
Okay, can you just give us one key takeaway that we should all walk away with tonight?
Yeah, I think that the key takeaway is like this is a collective effort, right? So we can't be successful without you, and I think you need us to be successful. Right. Like the gentleman mentioned, right? We want to revitalize and bring business here. I'm a big proponent that, and I talk about the DSSD, the town down. To really have good economic development, you need a safe environment, because to get people to come and open their business in your community, they're not going to come if they don't think it's safe. Exactly. So that's why you need police and we need you. So if we work together collectively, I think we can improve upon what we're doing and improve our communities. And I want you to know that every day I go to work and I meet with our officers, our goal is to provide the most professional, ethical policing, and to provide a safe environment for everybody in Bridgeport. So that's our goal. Are we at that point? Anything else? Or?
Oh, I have one, Siobhan.
No.
Wait, what? Fadia. Oh, all right.
Fadia.
I'm looking around. All right, sorry. Fadia.
Siobhan?
Sorry. 1 second.
She left.
Fadia has an event that she's going to be doing next door at the Revitalization Center. Can you just give us a little bit more information on it? Because it's a really good event.
All right, you're good.
And so if you guys could pass on the word and...
Okay. Before we head out, yes, I was in the neighborhood. I'm having an event on May 3rd. It's going to be at the Raphael and Taylor Center. It's titled Stronger Together. It's a family resource event. The event idea came about with working in another district, not in Bridgeport, and realizing that our students are being slighted when it comes to special education and what they qualify for, what they're not getting. Along with that is also just giving them resources of what we can do with our children that doesn't leave them at home teaching and monitoring themselves. I'm looking just for some resources that we can give back to families, mothers, fathers, the kids, everyone and all. I have some places that are willing to do on-site registrations for camps, after-school programs, and things like that. And a number of different places that are just willing to speak on immigration, speak on shelters, and all around the board. But I realized that I was stomping in the ground that was not my own. I'm from the North End. I don't know too many people on this side, but this location was the best thing for me. I walked in that place, like I just told you, and I was just like, God, if it's your will, then I'm going to keep on pushing. And I stumbled in here. So I hope that's a sign that I'm supposed to be doing this still. So if there's anyone who has any resources that gives back to the community, I would love to give you a flyer and see if we can connect on that way, to get informational tables set up for the community.
And we'll post your on our police website. We'll post
Thank
it.
you. I'll make
So
sure I get that
we're
to
wrapped.
We're about to wrap up.
Okay.
We want to say a special thank you to Nikia. Stand. Newfield Library, and she always is so nice, and she always helps and assists and lending the space for us whenever we need it.
Absolutely.
And she's just so pleasant. And thank you so much. And then also, can we have a round of applause for?
Yeah. I want to thank you, and whenever you see a cop, go up to them and say hello, and you know they'll be inviting and welcoming. It's so funny. So when Harold said, "Hey, Debbie wants to do it today's the 8th," I was like, "I got Nick tickets for the 8th." But I gave my son took my ticket. Him and his friend. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, closing remarks.
You know, Stanford might be looking pretty good, Chief, but I'm a father panic boy. better than it did in the time I was there. And Bridgeport schools look a hell of a lot better. So we're not that bad.
No.
Last but not least, our closing remarks. Senator, State Rep Baker is going to take something tonight.
It's been a wonderful evening. It's been a great evening. And I just thank each and every one of you for coming out here. I've known Captain Porter for quite a while. We've done some things even on the personal level. And, I must say, I got a cell phone number and I had it for years, and I'm still shocked that he responds to me, and I appreciate that. I'm trying not to stress him out because, you know what, I trust this guy. He's always been a good soldier, and I love him because he's in touch with the community. Yes. So I appreciate you for coming out here and for all you do, and you always have my support. You always have my support, and I thank the officers that came out here. You know, this is a new day, and we need community people like yourselves to come out, voice your concerns, and we got to work together. Yes. That's the only way we're gonna change what goes out there. We need you to continue to come out and be supportive and listen. You know, he has a plan, he has a strategy and stuff, but at the same time, he needs to hear from the community. What are the needs? What's working and what's not working? So let's continue to have this, and as we go on to make the city of Bridgeport, the East End, and other areas safe place, and the quality of their life to be good for all of us. Thank you once again to everybody.